Hello, everybody, and welcome to the inaugural The Cisco Day with Sirach Lofton, Jake Cisco himself.
Hello.
My name is Ryan T. Husk. We've got Melissa Longo here wearing her stem bolt and chill shirt with a perfect background of Nog and Benjamin Sisko. And she is here to tell us all about Aron Eisenberg, whom she was married to whom she was married, I should say, our brother and favorite human ever, Aron Eisenberg. So please, Melissa, take it away.
Okay. Okay. Well, first I want to say I think this is a long overdue day. Cisco and Avery Brooks need to be celebrated more and talked about more because of the work that they did, or he and Cisco did in conjunction with each other together. Back in the day. And
just to add to this, I should have said this at the top, but you had the idea to do this because Aron used to talk to you all the time about what Mr. Brooks meant to him, about what the character of Cisco meant to him. And so this is just a really cool idea. Sorry to interrupt there.
Yeah, no, it came to my head because I think it's important that everybody know what Avery meant to Aron and what an influence Avery had on his life. And there are many parallels that Aron saw between his relationship with Avery to Cisco's relationship to Nog. And there's many points where he would talk about moments that he would have with Avery on set, and particularly with this scene here when he wants to join Starfleet. That was, I think, Aron's favorite scene to record with Avery because of Avery's presence in the moment and commitment to the work. And Aron was, there was one moment when Avery grabbed Aron in this scene of Heart of Stone, season 3, Heart of Stone, and they hadn't rehearsed the moment where they had rehearsed the moment, but they hadn't rehearsed Avery grabbing Nog and saying, "Why do you want to join Starfleet?" And when Avery grabs Nog during the filming of it, it took Aron's breath away. He was like, "Oh my gosh, this is acting. This is what this is about. This is so not only did Aron see Avery as a mentor to look towards, but also an acting teacher, somebody who he could learn from and grow from. So that's one of the major things that he got from Avery. And looking back at the work and the seasons of Deep Space Nine, I can see that from the very last episode of season 2, Jem'Hadar, where Jake and Nog are on a field trip with Cisco in the Gamma Quadrant, and you can see the seeds of it's so good, and you can see the seeds of Nog actually really admires Cisco and wants to make a good impression on him, and where that might lead to, and those seeds are planted there, but then we see them in season 3 with Nog wanting to join Starfleet. So,
Melissa, when you brought that up, it made me think about Nog being really vulnerable with Cisco in their relationship, and a lot of times he would come to Cisco and say things to him that were like his deep secrets, almost like, like, I don't want to be like my father. he would reveal stuff to him that he didn't really share with everybody. These were his desires and his deep-seated kind of thoughts. Was was there a correlation between that kind of personal outreach and exposure and vulnerability in the in the Avery Aron relationship?
Mm-hmm. Well, yes, and I think that, like in the scene with Heart of Stone, Avery had, according to Aron, had this ability to push you to places that you never expected. He was able to reveal certain qualities about you and reach in much the way that Cisco did in that scene, and pull that out of you, and not in a mean or necessarily aggressive way, but a passionate, and he wanted you to succeed, and Cisco wanted Nog to dig down and figure out why he is so driven to join Starfleet. And I think that has a lot to do with Avery's character as a human being himself. With evidence with his work with you, he, to me, from the stories that I've heard, he has this ability to draw things out of you that you may not realize that you have or possess, and he wants you to succeed, and that's very evident with both Avery and Cisco.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I felt that myself. Yeah.
You've got something that you want to talk about with regards to wanting to see qualities, and how Aron mentioned this to you. Can you tell us all what that's about?
Yes. Aron had expressed that he had wanted to see the qualities that he took from Sisko's leadership and his guidance, and see how Nog took those qualities that he learned from Cisco and used them in his own leadership role. And he thought that would be a wonderful thing to explore, to see how Cisco shaped Nog as a captain or a future captain, and the journey that took them there. Because there was a lot of things that Nog learned from Cisco, with just by watching and doing, and so I thought that was a pretty cool idea, that to show the gifts that we learn from each other, and the teachers and the mentors of our lives, and so.
I loved how Cisco kept holding Nog accountable for he actually held everybody on that station accountable, including me and including himself. And I think that's one of the qualities that we really love about Cisco, is that, nobody gets a pass, nobody gets to slide by. Everybody has to be accountable. And one of the things that Nog would do was prove to Cisco and the others that not only was he capable, but he was taking full accountability for his actions and being responsible for, his tasks that were delegated to him. I always felt like there was an essence of him trying to prove to Cisco that you made the right decision in picking me and choosing me and vouching for me. It's like when somebody puts their reputation on the line for you and vouches for you, you don't want to, on top of making yourself look bad by not being good at whatever it is, you don't want to make that person look bad, because there's a lot on the line. They risk, their reputation for you. And I felt like Cisco really did a lot to risk his own reputation to help Nog.
And And he reciprocated when Nog rose to the challenge. Like in one little ship, when he gives Nog the task of pulling everything, all of the mechanical stuff together. He could have given that to anybody, but he assigned that task to Nog. They're under threat of the Jem'Hadar, but he still gives that task to Nog. And that shows a lot of trust. And Nog has earned that trust up to that point. And Sisko is reciprocating and demonstrating that he sees that he has earned that trust and is putting the faith and the lives of the entire crew in Nog's hands. And I think that's kind of amazing too. And that's a huge leadership quality for Sisko to demonstrate as well, because at that point, Nog was an ensign. So, it could have been given to anybody else.
Melissa, we've got a very important question for you here, possibly the most important question ever. Can you tell us a bit about the impact that Sisko and Avery had as a father to Jake and Sirach on Aron's approach to fatherhood?
It was huge. Huge. Yeah, he actually often had mentioned that there were times when he got a little jealous of the times that you and Avery would spend together, have the father-son time together. And he would say that he wanted to come too, you guys would do something.
That sounds so much like Nog and Jake and Captain Sisko. It sounds like he'd be like, God, I just wish they would invite me once. Go fishing.
Yes. Yes. I can remember him saying, well, I would have come too. And it was just so cute. He loved that relationship. He loved seeing your relationship with Avery. And I think there was some part of him that felt like Nog was always part of the Cisco family. Just like Jake was part of the Ferengi family. So that was great. But there was an integrity to Avery's character that bled into Sisko's character. And I guess this is just the through line of who Avery is from what I've seen. I've not met him, but I feel like I've met him through your stories and Aron's stories. But it comes across on screen as well that this integrity is true, that it's not just, I don't know. It's true. It's real. It's genuine. And so he approached with his kids, that he tried to impart that same integrity in what he taught his own kids. And that was important to him. Being a father was important to him. And, and a lot of that came from Avery, because Aron's own father wasn't in the picture for much of Aron's life. So those moments were, special. And he took note of the time that you and Avery got to spend together. So yeah, that was very important to him.
Wow. Yeah, I in hindsight, I could have done more. I wish I had done more when Aron was alive, to kind of bring him even closer into the Cisco family. Post Star Trek, post our show being off, but he definitely was somebody who was like a family for me. I'm always going to feel that way, like an adopted brother or something, and I feel like that as well in the Ferengi family. But Aron is really takes his acting seriously. Like he really he doesn't phone anything in. Everything he takes everything to heart, and everything has to be practiced and rehearsed and just right for him. Um, and I feel like Avery embraced that and kind of welcomed that energy and was like, um, do your thing, do your thing, and
Yeah.
allowed space for people to do their thing. That's another thing that Cisco and Avery have in common is the generosity of their spirit. It's not always about hogging the attention. It's not always about me being in charge. It's also a lot about sharing the stage and the spotlight with other people and enjoying other people's successes and watching other people flourish and do
Mm-hmm.
well. And I think that's one of the things he extended to Nog's character because he really wanted to see Nog do well, even though he
Mm-hmm.
was strict and harsh about it. But it was like a loving parent who wanted to see somebody do well, see their kid do well.
Yeah. And that generosity comes across on screen, I think, in spades. And I know that I appreciate it more watching it now than I did when I was a kid. Um, but yeah, it definitely comes across in spades, and it's wonderful to see. And the performances are always so rich because of it. And I think that Aron absorbs a lot of what Avery had to give, and he was immensely grateful for that. Yeah.
Aron Eisenberg, everybody at home, who played Nog, never took it for granted. He always seemed like he was just so thrilled and so honored and so appreciative that he got that role. For every single day he worked, for every single episode he worked, he was a huge Star Trek fan, the show and what it stood for. He was a
Mm-hmm.
huge fan of the Ciscos,
Mm-hmm.
and a fan of his friendship as Jake and Nog, as well as Aron and Sirach.
Yeah.
But thank goodness we have you here, Melissa, to carry on, his voice and his words and his thoughts. And I know he would always talk very highly of Avery, Mr. Brooks, but when he talked to you about Avery, the person, how did he describe him? Would he say, man, he's so cool, or he's so nice, or just as a person, did he ever kind of just impart just his feelings of what kind of a person he thought Avery was?
Well, I think he looked at Avery with a kind of reverence. He definitely looked up to Avery uh, immensely.
Mhm.
He thought very highly of Avery Brooks, and there was so much respect that he had for Mr. Brooks. And yeah, I yeah, there was a special gleam or light in Aron's eyes when he would talk about Avery Brooks and working with Avery Brooks. And it was wonderful to see because when somebody makes you light up, that is infectious, and that's what Avery did for Aron. He made Aron light up, and that's powerful. That's wonderful and powerful to see.
Yeah, and also I'm going to add to that from my own perspective, kind of in looking back and reflecting. Um, you know, Aron is such a jokester. He's always would joke with people, and like I can only remember him smiling, like
I
that
bet you
smile.
wouldn't joke with Avery Brooks, though.
That's the only thing that I was going to bring up right
Yeah.
there. I'm glad you brought that up
Yeah.
because I was going to say that's how you knew there was this respect and this reverence there because he would always like, all right, Avery's not
Mm-hmm.
the guy to joke with. He's not playing these, the same kind of jokes that everybody else is. He's on a whole different level,
Mm-hmm.
and he takes this, he takes what he does serious. You have to choose your words carefully, and be aware of what you're saying and doing when you're around Avery, because you could step out of bounds, for example, and say something inappropriate. And I felt like that's kind of the respect that he has earned, that he commands, and that that is best to approach with if you want to have a good conversation. So I do remember Aron would would tone down on the jokes when he was around Avery, because he knew, all right, this is the captain, and just like when the captain's around, everybody's gonna be on your best behavior type of thing. So I do remember that. Aron did love Avery and had a huge amount of respect for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, lastly, Melissa, did Aron ever say what his favorite Cisco moment was? Whether it was with Nog or otherwise, did he have a favorite Cisco moment or episode?
Yes, Heart of Stone. Heart of Stone, hands down, was his favorite moment, when, as I said, when Avery grabs, or Cisco grabs, Nog, because it was so unexpected and so in the moment, and so he was just like, oh my gosh, this is what acting is supposed to be. This is what I'm here for, or these kind of moments. He loved that scene, and that it was his favorite, definitely his favorite with Avery. Yeah.
Pick the perfect background.
Mm-hmm. That's why I chose it.
Yeah. But just the way that Aron is looking up at him is just amazing. It's just beautiful.
Yeah. Yep. It sums up what he thought of Mr.
And actually, the look Cisco's giving to now,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
not bad, not bad.
Yeah, that's
You're doing okay.
That's their relationship.
That's a pretty genuine
like a
looking smile right there. Yeah,
it's
that's
a look
pretty good.
of approval.
Yep.
Yeah.
He didn't give that to O'Brien, I'll tell you that much.
Especially when that Rock the Gino wasn't hot enough.
Yep. Well, Melissa, thanks for passing along Aron's words to those of us who never got to hear these words about Avery Brooks. And it's so cool that you remember them so vividly. It's when you're bringing back, you're looking back and saying this, it just shows that these memories are very vivid in your mind, because Aron was a very clear speaker. He let you know exactly how he felt. There wasn't the subtlety or innuendo or hinting. He would tell you how he felt, and so it's great because it gives you a very clear memory.
Almost to a fault.
Yeah,
Sometimes.
Great point.
Almost to a
stay
fault.
away. You stay over there. I don't want to talk to you.
But also, sometimes it was a bit repetitive.
That's how you remember it best.
Yes. Yeah. So some of these stories I've heard multiple times, and but every telling, it was always just as passionate as the first. So I didn't mind listening.
And I just love too how, like, Heart of Stone is not the episode people think of right away when they're thinking of Deep Space Nine. There's a whole list of episodes people go through, Little Great Man and this and that.
Mm-hmm.
But to just see, like, that's just how much each episode has so much meaning behind it. That's that underlies what you see on the screen. That episode left a permanent impact on Aron. That moment, that filming of that scene, and it might just be another episode for anybody else who's watching. Say, oh, that's just another episode, but it's not just another episode for Aron. That was something that stood out for him, and for years and years he would talk about those moments and that experience. And that's really digging deep under the surface and finding out the moments that change us. I've had conversations with people that I've never seen again, but those one line or those words left a residual impact. That experience left such a residual impact and may have been life changing. And that's all of us doing that for each other in our lives. You know, some random person to just be there for you when you really need it. Or a conversation you have with a loved one or with a friend could really mean so much to you. And that's why I'm so glad that you're able to share these moments, because these are the moments that count, the moments that matter, the moments that change who we are, you know. And Aron was obviously changed by his encounter with Avery, with his portrayal as Nog, working opposite Benjamin Sisko. And, you know, I too have been changed because of my interactions with Avery. And it's just special to know that the Cisco has touched so many people's lives intimately, personally, in this kind of a way.
Well, and then in turn, those experiences that are shared by you and by Aron affect those who are listening and taking in these experiences that you have in those special moments. So it not just affects you or affects Aron, it you know, it's a ripple in the pond again, and it's a good ripple, you know.
Yeah. That's a good ripple.
It's a good ripple.
Amen. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Melissa. It's really cool. And thanks for preparing this and looking back into the archives and remembering all of the wonderful things that Aron told you about Mr. Avery Brooks, because that's what today is about, is celebrating Avery Brooks. And every day is about celebrating Mr. Aron Eisenberg, of course. But yeah, thank you so much for doing this for us, Melissa.
Definitely my pleasure.
All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Keep enjoying Cisco Day. We will see you again soon. And always remember the 7th rule.